Hello guys, WvW here. Today I'm coming with the second video of the series how to fight specific class. In these videos I'm talking about ways to fight classes, and especially for my immobilized druid build, or I like to call it the brave druid. It's a healing condition build, but the video gonna give you a lot of information how you, whatever you play in condition or bar or any even other class, it's gonna help you in general. And there is timestamps of course in the description, feel free to use it. Today I'm talking about how to fight engineers, whether they are core, holo, scrubber, everything. So the first thing you need to understand, we're going to talk about the mentality of fighting them, what we need to do, how we need to think, and then there's going to be a commentary on fights. First thing, engineers are the jack of all trade and for a long time was master of all. They have everything equipped to them, and they were one of the most capable against condition for a long time, and still really capable on it. They have kits, and that gives them a lot of weapon choices. That is more than others can do. It's like having a full skill bar that can keep changing if you're fighting like a full kit build. And there's, as right now, grenades are probably the most powerful way to do damage, and mortar is insane. They can do a lot of mistakes and recover from it because of like if you're playing broad holo protection build, that can cleanse a lot of condition, mitigate a lot of damage, have insane amount of boons, AoE control, etc. So we need to understand the first step in fighting engineer. You need to know what you're facing. You need to know exactly, okay, not every detail, but what matters the most, what the engineer is using. If the engineer is playing explosive with a grenade, then you're gonna find a lot of damage in melee or range. It doesn't gonna matter that much. If he's running mortar, that means he have incredible kite potential with AoE control and a lot of damage too. Understand what you're fighting for to begin with. If he is core engineer, if he is scrubber and holo, and what make it special for everything. Core engineer have a lot of utility. Mostly kits gonna be the most painful, and a freedom to choose traits, like have a lot of damage modifiers through using explosives and firearms traits with still elixirs. And if you're fighting a scrubber, you're gonna have probably the highest damage usually, or the best bunker with projectile mitigations, stuff like this, and probably the highest stability access. If you're fighting Holosmith, Photon Forge, doesn't need explanation. So to cut this short, you need to understand what you're fighting against, what the engineer has. Second, this is a general rule for a lot of classes, but it's gonna be a unique thing for engineer. Melee range against engineers is usually dangerous thing. If you're playing melee, you need to find an opening to hit an engineer. If you're playing range, you need to mostly at least try to stay away. Why? Because everything the engineer do in range would be more dangerous in melee. Or everything he do in melee, he can do in range, but everything he do in range is still either the same danger or more. For example, if you're fighting a ranger and you're too far, he can hit you, but you can't hit him because he's 1500 range. If you come close, you're not only now capable of hitting him, if you like spin around him or go behind his back, skill like rapid fire, skill 2 for longbow, stop firing. For engineer, most of his skill doesn't have this kind of problems, and he have excessive melee use. Like even if you mitigate photon blades, skill 4 on Photon Forge, he would simply start auto attacking. It's not a big deal. The rifle, for example, everything in melee will be better. The skill 3 do more damage. If he can jump on you, it's already a melee skill. Grenade can be used from far, but if in close, it will be harder to avoid. The same thing as mortar. The other kits like flamethrower is already melee. The bomb kit is melee range. Hammer is melee with a lot of blocks. He can protect himself and damage you. Or simply protect himself. If you're ranged, there is no point of using hammer at this point. He need to catch up to you. So this is the general idea, that melee range is really dangerous against engineers. Not because they are like overpowered or anything, it doesn't benefit you this much. Against other classes, it could benefit you. I know some of you are gonna find this tip weird, but you really need to consider this point. Range is really beneficial against engineers, no matter what build they play. Second thing is, engineers no more having that insane amount of stability, like the Photon Forge one. Thank God it's removed, but they still have multiple choices to access to stability, like Elixir U and TOS Elixir B. If Blaine Scrubber probably having the highest stability, since the tool built skill for Bulwark Gyro, and in theory an engineer can run a full utility that all of them give stability. How? Simply by running like the trait of Flamethrower, Elixir U, and Bulwark Gyro, or Elixir B. So it's even possible on a core engineer build. So always try to find an opening for CC when he doesn't have stability. Another tip is, it's technically back to the point when understanding what the engineer do. I want to explain further on how valuable this can be to an engineer. If he's playing condition, usually a full burst from the pistol is the most difficult thing you're going to be attacked with, and other than that, his skills will not be that damaging. If he's running power, for example, grenades can be extremely harmful. If you're being surprised with, this is going to be a serious problem. As a healing skill, for example, if you're running AED, he can reset the fight completely, like you're watching me in this video. And you're gonna watch me fighting one of the most dangerous and best engineers in the game. I consider him right now, Fate, if you know him from YouTube. This is actually his footage, and here I didn't know. I made the mistake of not thinking what the enemy is running. I was surprised by the damage of grenades and everything. I tried to heal up and fight again. I was in melee, so I suffered a lot. I tried to kite by being obstructed, and it was working at this point, but he has a lot of condition removal. So I stand behind the pillar, not knowing that he can hit me like this, and he killed me. In my footage, as you see, I stand, I have lightning reflexes, I can even dodge, but I didn't use them. And that is a horrible mistake when not knowing what you should do, or how your opponent can harm you, what he can do against you. And engineers can be dangerous this way. In the second fight, you will see me actually, I'm cutting fast here to come fight him again. Now I know he's using grenades, he has a lot of condition removal, like I'm mentally ready for him. So I engage on him. He starts responding immediately, removing my conditions. I go down, since I'm actually thinking this guy's scary. Like, he is really scary. I'm probably scared from him more than he's scared from me. I know a single hit can do tremendous amount of damage, and he has access to stealth. He can take half my health out of stealth easily, with grenade barrage hitting me last, as you see, for about 7k. So I'm trying to take his cooldown, keep kiting, and he's kiting. If he stands behind the pillar, I can't do anything about him. And you can notice another thing about engineers. They have a lot of evades. Engineer running explosive with gadget, for example, can simply have half the time vigor, and they can have access to one of the highest endurance generation stuff, 50% permanent. In rangers can have 25 only. So with every dodge they can get this the starting attack, I can't remember what it's called, which basically, if traded, can give them give you blindness and daze every time they attack you after a dodge. And he's using a lot of dodges. I've been missing most of my serious bursts on him. His timing is great, probably better than me even. So I'm keep line of sighting. I'm being careful to be really sure when I line of sight I don't get damaged by grenade. I use a barrier here, the projectile barrier, and grenade can't go through this. I don't care if you're standing on it. It doesn't matter if he threw it right or left, it's not gonna pass. I avoid his stun, but he used again. I kite for a long range, so he can't really. Grenades be really slow if you're far. You can see them and avoid them. And as you see, again, I'm missing all my serious burst on him. He's really good at keeping himself safe. So now I use another barrier again to avoid his damage. I'm trying to daze him, and again it doesn't work. I'm trying to line of sight. We got each other cornered, but again I kite to a long range. I avoid his barrage, and at this point I am kinda holding him as I want. He ran out of cooldown. Anyway, this is another trick you need to keep it in mind. Cooldowns. Every fight against any class is technically a cooldown match. You have defensive, both of you have defensive skills, offensive skills, kiting potential, heal skills. The one who has nothing to do at some point or less, that you have an offensive and defensive, so you protected yourself and destroyed him, but he couldn't do anything but trying to like protect himself, but he took your damage. Now he has nothing. So manage your cooldown, always keep something. In this video, I'm gonna show you kiting 2 Holosmiths, and gonna show you seriously what I mean by melee range is a disaster against engineers. No matter what build they playing, melee is more dangerous. As you see, the closer I am to them, they can do stupid amount of damage. I'll be dead in few seconds. So I'm trying to keep kiting them, stealthing and kiting. I'm trying to avoid the rifle damage so I can fill my Celestia avatar, and I'm kiting again. I was kind of hoping that I can kill at least one of them, which I probably can, but as you see, it's they making it too difficult for me to do that, and they have a lot of condition removal. So, but this is gonna only show you some kiting. Always keep your distance. And I like to use this trick when I actually move through people. If I can't run from them, if they are faster and have a lot of gap closer, I would turn and kite the other way, if I can be sure it is safe. Not that I'm falling in a hug with another enemy that will completely destroy me, of course. So let's cut this video short and move on to explaining another thing. It's gonna be the next footage also about Holosmith. This is a 1v1 with a Holosmith. He stealthed. I noticed him, of course. I didn't do anything, and once he appeared, I immediately went to dodge and CC'd him. Engineer can have a lot of stability, but not all of them run stability, as you see. And the way I used immediate stun when he opened on me, I had to make him use a condition removal, and that's a good trick. I'm keeping an eye on when he has stability, but I noticed he already used it and he doesn't have another source of stability, so I only was away from like a small radius, since Holosmith can only like damage you about 300 radius, that's all they can do. And once he leave Photon Forge, you need to start kiting. No matter what weapon he run, you're better off away from him. In this fight, I'm fighting another Holosmith who I didn't notice until he started hitting me. Like, I was focused on a lot of people, so I didn't pay attention to what class, but I catch him. And using rifle, and that's actually more scary since he can do a lot of damage from range. So I keep spinning around him so he can't face me, but like I said, this is an example when Holosmith or Engineer doesn't have a lot of stability, you can be extremely harmful to them. And this would be probably the last fight against the Holosmith, and this was a really good fight against a good Holosmith. He's running shield, which is another example of the danger of melee. Since he not only protecting himself, he can blast you away from him, knock back, and he can daze you. And if you're close, you can't really see and avoid the projectile of skill 5 from the shield. So I'm trying to kite him and force him in an open field which I can kite better in. I catch him with Entangle, Ancient Seed, but he immediately remove it, a lot of condition removal. And he's using Sword, and Sword can do a lot of damage actually, so I'm trying to avoid it. like you see, keeping my distance, hitting when I can, trying to heal, and I even allow, not a big deal if I take a little bit of damage, it's gonna help me refill Celestia Avatar faster even. So always keep something. I know at this point he's using his shield, as you saw. Shield 5 is gone, and even the block skill is gone. So I'm gonna try to be probably more aggressive a little bit. I noticed another player here, so I wanted to be careful. That's why I kited the other side, and I thought about going to water if I need to, but he didn't engage with me. So I kept on fighting again with the mentality of I need to be aggressive at this point. But he has a lot of conditional removal. Every time he get out of Photon Forge, he remove a condition. But after he removed my condition, I triggered another Ancient Seed, which he cleansed again with Healing Turret. That's why I said this was a good fight. You're gonna find a lot of sustainability from him against condition. Everything I apply a condition, he remove it. Whenever I find him locked, I try to lock him more, prevent him from using skills or doing anything. And once he didn't have another condition removal, it was over. And in this fight, you saw an example of how you have higher cooldowns than someone. You still have skills and they were over. This fight, I thought this guys was like BVE or something. I looked only to the Scourge, so I didn't want to fight them, but they attacked me to protect the Doliac, so I engaged on them. I was removing the condition from Scourges, avoiding his damage, and the Scrubber was kinda slow. That made me think, or already kinda know, he's a bunker Scrubber, not a damagey one. Like, he would still have a lot of damage, but not that much. So I'm focusing on the Scourge, since Scrubber is only melee. As you notice, he didn't use a grenade or any other kit. So I can finish the Scourge easily, and the Scourge is the most dangerous opponent. And that's how you pick your first target. You need to identify the dangerous target to handle first. Or sometimes not the dangerous if you can handle the danger, but you would handle the most valuable to kill. Like if there is support and you can handle the damaging one, kill the support first. And this scenario, I found that the Scourge was easier target, of course. Then I moved to the Scrubber. He used the bubble, and at this point, like Makulak said, he disabled my class technically. So I move until it's gone, and I try to catch him again with the days from the glyph, and applying Ancient Seed. He went invuln, so he doesn't have Elixir S anymore as a panic button. He has too few damage, so I kinda face tank him, not wasting my dodges. I'm kind of lazy. Don't do that if you have full dodges, no need. But I found him doing a lot of damage to me, so that was an example of being wrong in a fight. But this is also not really wrong, since it's a trick that makes people waste their skills. I used it multiple times with Signals of Stone, especially before this patch, when I can take the damage, not even dodge it, not doing anything if it's not a condition. And in this way, your opponent gonna bam bam go ham with his skills, thinking he can burst you down if he didn't notice, if you have healing, if you're just ready, that he would waste skills and you kill him. And that's how it worked for me. He wasted his cooldown faster. The second fight gonna be a Scrubber 2. This Scrubber is actually a really, I would say, a good one. Before the patch, I could never kill him. We could fight and kite, and I probably never killed him except like 1 in 15 fights or something. But after the patch, this tankiness went seriously down for him and for me. But I'm fighting him here with a high ping, more than 500 ping consistent. I'm not sure if you can notice it. So I'm losing health like mad. He's pressuring me seriously. I can barely do anything to him. All my skills are kinda late, but I'm keeping my distance. He's running Flamethrower with a condition build and probably some power. I don't know how high power he has, but he's doing a lot of damage to me. And I was catched from the guards, so I needed to kite again. I opened Celestia Avatar just to be able to close it fast and be persistent with the heal, since I have another condition removal, which I used it, triggered Sharpened Stone. I tried to heal again, kite with the staff. he still persists to me. He really wanna stop me from taking this landmark. He's always defending stuff. So I was again against his damage. This Ellie came, which I killed him multiple times, and he kept coming, which he didn't give up. That's a good thing. But so I know this is too dangerous for me, especially from the ping. I tried to kite them, like escaping from them, but they chased me. So I opened Celestial Avatar, use Lunar Impact, so if someone too close I would hit them. I stealthed, and the Scrubber went too far, so I attacked the Tempest. I know he's a weaker opponent here, so I tried to finish him immediately. And I hoped that the Scrubber would fall for this and try to revive him. The Ellie moved, so made it more difficult for the Scrubber to even revive him, and I applied too much pressure on him. Opened the Avatar to get rid of the conditions, and at this point he was dead. The Scrubber thought he could down me, which of course wasn't enough. I'm kiting him, going down again, and he is going far. He is gliding, which was a serious mistake. But anyway, he went down. I didn't use it, or didn't even have time. I stun him and trigger Ancient Seed. Luck him with another CC from Ragazal. It's not a spamming CC. I mean, I can still go to the other bit. I still have CC Avatar, so I always kinda have something. I don't waste all my CC skill. But using multiple ones prevents him from using any castable skill, like an elixir that can remove condition or healing skill. He be locked, either use a stun break, so he already wasted another cooldown, or he would simply die. This is another fight I have against him. He's trying to defend this tower from me, so I'm trying to keep my distance again. I know about his using condition and flamethrower. I'm trying to either ball him away from the guards or lock him. He used the healing skill, but was kinda early, the AED, so it didn't help him. I waited until he went back up from being down and came for me again. He used the AED, but I didn't apply enough damage, and I think his passive cleansing procced. So probably he would have resetted the fight, and that's probably what he thought he could do. But it didn't work, since the passive actually triggered, and he went down inside the tower again. So that was it for the video, guys. I hope you find it useful and found this explanation or commentary helpful. I am not really good at making those kind of videos. I'm trying to do my best about them, telling you most information I have. So if you have any question, you can ask me in the comment, and you can join my Discord and ask me whenever I see your comments or question. I will answer them. And consider liking, subscribing, and I will see you next time.